What's up, guys? Welcome to Touchdown Talk, where everything and anything football goes. I'm your host, Jason, and I'm back after a week hiatus. Was off last week, wasn't able to get any videos out for you guys, but I'm back this week. I did miss yesterday's episode, which would have been a weekend recap, but I'm back now, back on schedule for the rest of the week. Today and Thursday will be offensive and defensive weapons. Wednesday and Friday will be NFL news in 10 minutes or less. Now, let's kick it off right here with our offensive and defensive weapons for today. The fifth episode, the fifth version, and this is going to be the NFC North. Now, previously we already did the NFC and AFC East and the NFC and AFC West. So now we're going to get into the NFC North today, and Thursday will be the AFC North. So right into it with the defending champions for the North, and that is the Green Bay Packers. Now for their offense, as you can see by the design, I have them with Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, Christian Watson, Sammy Watkins, and Robert Tonyan. Now, yes, Davante Adams was traded, so a big miss for the Packers. That's really going to hurt them, but I do think that this offense is going to be able to withhold. Now, Rodgers, it's going to be a little bit of a change for him. He's not going to have Adams with him, so a little bit of a change for Aaron Rodgers. Not having the best receiver in the NFL is going to hurt a bit, but it won't be too much of a problem for a quarterback of Aaron Rodgers' caliber. Now, along with Rodgers, we have the running back duo of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. Now, I'm a huge A.J. Dillon fan. I love A.J. Dillon. I think he's underrated. I have him poised for a breakout season. Now, with Aaron Jones ahead of him on the depth chart, more of that, first and second down guy, more so when then Dillon's kind of like the goal line power back guy. It's a really interesting dynamic that they do have. Now, for Aaron Jones, I think that the duo between him and Dillon is really going to play good for the Green Bay Packers. Now, we've seen in the past how these two have played and how great they have been together. So, a good switch for them. So, I do think that they will be able to continue their dominance. Now, they do complement each other extremely well. Kind of like Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in Cleveland. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon complement each other really well, which does help that offense extremely. And now this year with Adams gone, they're going to have to do a little bit more on the offense, I'd assume. Moving on to our wide receivers. Now, Watson and Watkins I have here. Now, Watkins is a new addition for the team. He's kind of have to come in and play a big role. He's going to be replacing that Marquez Valdez-Scantling role that played for the Green Bay Packers. Now, Scantling moved on. He is now with the Chiefs. So a bit of a change for Watkins coming over from the Chiefs. Then he went to Baltimore and now with Green Bay. So Watkins kind of a little bit of a shaky career so far. But I think this is the chance for him to kind of resurrect his career, kind of rebuild with a new team and try to force himself onto that offense to where he's going to have to kind of come in for one of the best receivers in the league. But ahead of him, I do have Christian Watson, and that is because I think Watson is poised for a breakout season. Now, yes, he's only a rookie, but he's a second-round pick. They drafted him early in the second round. He is going to be the main guy at that receiver position. He's going to be the main guy covering for the wide receivers, replacing Davante Adams and helping Aaron Rodgers with that team. Now, at the tight end position, I do have Robert Tonyan. He's coming back from an injury. Now, I do like Robert Tonyan. I feel that he's a good receiver. I really like what he brings to the team and what he brings to the Packers team. But in all, I think that Robert Tonyan is going to help out the team. Him and Rodgers have a connection. So he's going to be one of those main guys that are already stable in that offense because he has a connection with Rodgers, as to where Watkins and Watson, they're new to the team, so they don't have a connection with Rodgers yet. So maybe in training camp they can get that done and kind of get the team ready in a sense. Now, moving on to their defense, I have Kenny Clark at the defensive tackle position, along with Devontae Wyatt. Now, at cornerback, I have Eric Stokes and Jair Alexander, and at safety, I have Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage. Now, starting with Clark and Wyatt, Wyatt's really been a kind of a name that we've been seeing a lot lately since he was drafted in the first round by the Green Bay Packers. So he's going to play a big role for that Green Bay Packers defense. He's going to have to lead that defense in a sense. I do think he's going to have to play a big role for that team, really help them out. And what better way than to have a guy like Kenny Clark at that position with you to kind of help you out and bring you along through the way. Now, I think that he's really going to learn from him, just like other teams when they bring in a new guy or they bring in a rookie from the draft and they have a veteran there that they're going to learn from. I do think it's going to help tremendously for the development of Devontae Wyatt. I think having a veteran like Kenny Clark there is really going to help him. Now, along with Kenny Clark, the second position at the linebacker position, they have a few key guys. They did lose Zadarius Smith, which is a huge role. Preston Smith was a guy who I was contemplating putting into this defense because I'm a huge Preston Smith supporter. I love Preston Smith, and I really like him and Zadarius. So with Zadarius gone, I do think that Preston is going to see a little bit of a decrease now with the younger guys coming in, but that's why I didn't put him here. So moving on to our cornerbacks, I did put Eric Stokes next to Jair Alexander because I think Eric Stokes is going to have to pick up some of the slack this year. Now, with the way Green Bay is going to run their offense, we know they score a lot. And when Green Bay scores, it means more time for the defense to come onto the field. So with the defense having to come onto the field a bit more, I do think Eric Stokes is going to need to step up and really be that great number 2 corner that Green Bay thought he was going to be when they drafted him. And then Jair Alexander, obviously we know how good he is, one of the best corners in the league. He is a top 10 corner in the NFL. So obviously Jair Alexander is going to help the build-up of Eric Stokes and the development of Stokes, just like Clark will help Wyatt. And then at safety, we know these two veterans. They've been in the league for a while. They've been around. And Savage and Amos, they complement each other really well in the secondary. They know each other really well. They know how each other plays. They've played with each other for the past couple of seasons. So we saw how good they were together last year, and they're going to continue to be that good together this upcoming season. Now next up is the Chicago Bears, and for their offense at their helm is going to be Justin Fields. Now along with him, he has 2 running backs here that I have, and that is David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert. Now moving on to the receivers, I have Vilas Jones and Darnell Mooney along with tight end Cole Kmet. Now a big thing, as you can see here, is no Allen Robinson. Now this is because Allen Robinson is now a Los Angeles Ram. So starting with Justin Fields, I think he's going to have a good season. Now, the only problem with their offense is their offensive line. I think that's going to be where it kind of comes into play to where they're going to struggle a bit. I do think that their offensive line is their main problem, and I think that if Fields can progress to where he's going to be good, I think him and Darnell Mooney are going to be one of the best duos in the NFL. I think that they're going to be able to be one of those duos because I think with Justin Fields' arm ability and Darnell Mooney's speed, I think they're really going to be able to connect down the field. But with their running backs, I have Montgomery and Herbert. Now, Herbert was kind of a breakout guy last season due to injury to David Montgomery. So I think he's going to play a little bit of a bigger role this year in a way because we saw what he did last year. He actually came in clutch for the Bears in a couple of scenarios, a couple of games. And if David Montgomery goes down again with an injury, Khalil Herbert's going to be right there. Now, with David Montgomery, I haven't always been a huge David Montgomery fan. I never really was right behind Montgomery saying that he's a guy. So I'm kind of a little shaky on David Montgomery. But I do think that if he could stay healthy, he'll help the Bears offense. Now, the player I'm most excited to watch is that Darnell Mooney. I love Darnell Mooney. I thought that last year Justin Fields and him were going to have a great season together, but that's not how it turned out. It's not how it panned out. We had Andy Dalton. Fields had a couple of injuries. So I think this year is the year where we see Justin Fields and Darnell Mooney really come together and connect to be one of those duos. Now, along with him is rookie Vilas Jones. Now, Vilas Jones being a rookie is going to be new to the team, and I do think that with him coming into the team, I do feel that they're going to have to pick it up and really come in quick, because with no Allen Robinson, Jones is going to be that number 2 guy right away, straight to the field week 1, right next to Darnell Mooney. And then tight end Cole Kmet is also going to have to be able to expand what he can do. He's going to have to be more of a versatile guy. He's going to have to really be better for the team. They're going to need him. And this team is going to struggle, I think, this year. But if they can protect Justin Fields can get going. I think they can have something special in the future. Now for their defense, I do have Robert Quinn at that front edge position, along with Nicholas Moreau and Roquan Smith at linebacker, with Taven Young and Jalen Johnson at corner, and of course Eddie Jackson at safety. Now, with Robert Quinn, it's kind of an interesting scenario. He's getting a little bit older. Don't know how much longer he's going to be able to be with the team. We saw them get rid of Khalil Mack. So, it's going to be a bit of a struggle for the team. So, without Khalil Mack on the team, he obviously went to the Chargers. But it's going to be a bit of a change for the team. They're really going to have to step it up and really change what they're going to do, especially Robert Quinn. He's the leader on that team. He's the veteran. He's going to have to lead the guys on that defense. Now at linebacker is Nicholas Moreau and Roquan Smith. Now, Roquan Smith was a dog earlier in his career, so now it's kind of been a struggle for him as of late, because Chicago overall has struggled. Chicago has not been a good team as of late, and they've really struggled. Now, Chicago needs to find a way to get back on track, because they're looking like they're the worst team in the division. Now, yeah, Detroit has been bad as of late, but Detroit has made a lot of moves this past season, and Detroit looks like they're on the up and up to maybe be a playoff contention in this upcoming season, or at least 1 year away from being in the playoffs. Now, back to Chicago and Roquan Smith. I think he's going to have to be that leader on the second level of that defense, really coach up Nicholas Moreau. Now, Nicholas Moreau has been in the league for a couple of years, but all in all, Roquan Smith is the best player on that defense right now. Because of the loss of Khalil Mack, Roquan Smith is going to have to do more at that linebacker position. Then at quarterback with Taven Young, who came over from Baltimore, and Jalen Johnson, who kind of has broken out as of late. I think they're really going to have to play well together, complement each other well, and really come together to help out this team. And then Eddie Jackson, of course, we know what he can do at that safety position. So Chicago's kind of one of those teams where it's really hard to talk about them, because we don't know what we're getting from them. We don't know what they're going to be, and we don't know the kind of team they're going to be once this season starts. Moving on to Minnesota, who a lot of people have winning the division this year. A lot of people have them overtaking the Packers because of the outburst of Justin Jefferson and him being one of the best receivers in the league. Now, with Kirk Cousins to start their offense, along with Dalvin Cook, and I did add Alexander Madison, and then obviously wide receiver is Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, and a bit of a shock to you guys might be KJ Osborne. Now, starting with Kirk Cousins, we know what we're going to get from Kirk Cousins. He's going to be the quarterback you can win with, but you're not going to win because of him. Now, you're going to win with him because of the other guys around him. He has Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, who are probably one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver duo in the league. I would definitely have them in the top 5 just because of how dynamic they both are. Now, Adam Thielen is one of my favorite receivers. He has been one of the best in recent years. He really complements each other. He really complements other receivers well. Just like when Stephon Diggs was there, Adam Thielen was a great option that people overlooked. And now with the outburst of Justin Jefferson, a lot of people are now overlooking Adam Thielen. So a lot goes into it, a lot of training, and Adam Thielen is always going to be there for the Vikings. He's always going to be that security blanket. He's always going to be that receiver that you can always look towards. Now with Justin Jefferson, he obviously, there's not enough to say about him. We know how good he's been, and we know he's one of the best receivers in the league. He even said that by the end of this season, he will be the best receiver in the league, overtaking Devontae Adams at the number 1 receiver in the league. So, kind of really interesting to see what he can do this year. And a bit of an off-track side note is that in Madden, I don't know if you guys did see the rankings, but they did give him a 93 overall Madden. So obviously that's going to add a bit more for him to show not only the NFL, but everyone that he is the best, if not one of the top receivers in the NFL already. Now, with the running backs, going back to them, we know what we're getting from Dalvin Cook. We know the great player that he is. The only thing about Dalvin Cook is injuries. Now, we've seen Dalvin Cook get injured quite a bit lately, and that's why Alexander Madison is on this list. Because Alexander Madison did come in last year and play a big role for the Vikings because of injuries to Dalvin Cook. And then a guy who is on this list that you guys might not know of, and that is KJ Osborne. He is kind of the Vikings' kind of slot receiver, their third receiver, and I think he's poised for a breakout year. Now, last year he did come in towards the end of the year, and it was kind of a shocker to a lot of people. He kind of burst out to the field one game where he had, I believe it was like a 70-yard touchdown, and people were like, whoa, who is this guy, and why is he playing at this level? So when you have guys like Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen next to you, that third receiver is going to reap all the benefits. Because when you have teams that have two great cornerbacks and then one new shaky corner, that's the guy who's going to get KJ Osborne. Because that number one corner is always going to get Justin Jefferson. The number two is going to get Adam Thielen. And then the third one, the slot corner, he's going to be left with KJ Osborne. And that's nothing to overlook. Because KJ Osborne, with his speed, with his shiftiness, I think he's going to be able to prove a lot of people and show them that he is a good receiver in the NFL. And then for their defense, newly acquired Zadarius Smith is going to play a huge, huge factor for this team. Now, moving on from the Green Bay Packers, moving on from his team, going back to the Vikings where he did start his career, he is going to be a huge factor, especially in those two games against the Green Bay Packers. You know he's going to want to sack Aaron Rodgers. Now, next to him is going to be Danielle Hunter. Now, I think these two are going to complement each other really well. Now, I have been saying this a lot, complimenting each other in this video. I've said it a lot with a couple of different positions and players. But it's same thing goes here. Now, Hunter and Zadarius Smith are two of the best respective players at their respective positions. Now, Zadarius Smith is kind of an underrated guy. People kind of overlook him because of the other great edge rushers, linebackers that are in the league at his position. So people tend to overlook him because of the other guys at that position. But next to him is going to be Danielle Hunter, who's a great defensive end. Almost was not a Viking this year. They did have a little bit of news going on in the offseason. So hopefully they can get something done to keep him there. But that's going to be really good defense at the front. Now, it does get a little iffy and shaky at the cornerback position with Cam Dantzler and Patrick Peterson. Now, nothing to overlook with Patrick Peterson. We know what he can do. We know he's been one of the best corners in the league. But he's getting up there in age, and with the younger receivers, the new generation of the shiftiness, the fast, the speed, all of that, it's gonna come to Patrick Peterson at a certain point, and he's gonna have to realize it. Now at safety, they have rookie Lewis Kine along with Harrison Smith. Now we all know Harrison Smith is one of the best safeties in the league. He's one of the guys at the position who's one of the biggest hitters in the league, a hard hitter at the safety position. And he's going to be able to mentor Lewis Kine and really bring him up to really help him at that safety position so they could be a good tandem in the league. And then moving on to our last team, but certainly not least, and that is the Detroit Lions. And for their offense, quarterback Jared Goff, it's going to be a make or break year for him. He's getting paid, I believe, $38 million this season. I believe it's between $36 and $38 million this season in salary cap. That's going to be a huge hit for the Detroit Lions. So if Jared Goff can't do something and can't show the Lions, now with this team that I'm about to go into, it's going to be a huge disappointment. Now, he's going to have to show something because Detroit did a lot to help him out. Now, on the offense, we know we got DeAndre Swift, and what he's done, he is a great running back. He has the speed, the shiftiness. He came into the league just 2 years ago and really broke out to be one of the best young running backs in the league. Now, they brought in one of my favorite receivers in the league. Now, I do say this a couple times, but DJ Chark is one of my favorite receivers in the league. I loved him in Jacksonville, and I really thought that he needed to get out and join a better team. Now, Detroit, I was a little upset that he did pick to go on a one-year deal, because I think that he could have found a team to pay him on a 4 or 5 year deal. So I'm hoping that he balls out this year and gets that money next year, gets that bag next year after seeing all the receivers get paid. He is still young, and he is a star in the league, and I do think that he's going to be able to continue that this season. Now, with DJ Chark is Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams, along with TJ Hawkinson at tight end. Now, if you look at this offense and you take out Jared Goff, this looks like one of the best offenses in the league. But when you throw in Jared Goff, it kind of deflates a bit, because when you look at other teams and the quarterbacks that they have, Jared Goff isn't at any of the top lists. So when you have DeAndre Swift at that running back position, a great running back at that position, one of the best young guys who gets the job done and really lifts up your team. He carried the team in a few categories last year. He really was the ball and chain of that team, kind of really dragging the rest of the team on his back because of the slack that their offense had. Now, when you get to receivers, this might be one of the best trio of receivers in the league. Now, you can look at trios with the 2 receivers and tight end, or 1 receiver, 2 tight ends, however you want to look at it. Now, as you can see by these designs, I did do, some teams have 2 running backs, and it's all different. But when you look at trios and just wide receiver trios, Detroit has one of the best in the league. Now, I'm not talking about receiver tight end trio, I'm talking about just wide receivers. So if you look at the 3 wide receivers on any team, it's going to be hard to put them up against these 3. Now, yes, that might be a bit of a reach, that might be a big statement, but I do love these 3, and they're so young. DJ Chark is really young. Amon-Ra St. Brown is in his sophomore year, and Jameson Williams is a rookie. He already has 98 speed in Madden. We know how fast he is, and he's going to complement St. Brown and Chark extremely well. The speed that these 3 have, the agility that they have, the height and the capability of these 3, it's really going to cause problems in the league. So if they can get big extensions, now I know St. Brown and Williams are on their rookie deals. DJ Chark is on a 1-year deal, as I mentioned. So if they do have a good season, I do hope DJ Chark gets a multi-year deal to stay with the Lions or to go to a different team. But I do like him on the Lions when I look at this offense. I just don't like that he has Jared Goff as the quarterback. I really want him to have a better quarterback so he will be able to succeed a lot better. And we can't forget TJ Hawkinson. Obviously, a great tight end. He is up there when you talk about the top 5, top 7, depending on who you want to bring up and down on the list. He's always one of those names that are on the top 7, top 5, depending on whose list you're talking to and what category you're talking to. If you're talking about overall, he's definitely up there. So, obviously, their offense looks good on paper, but it is gonna come down to Jared Goff and what he can do at the quarterback position. Now, lastly, we're going to end with their defense. And with their defense, you might not know these 2 guys, but I like these 2 guys. And that is Julian and Romeo Okwara. Now, these brothers, I like them. I really want them to succeed. So I want these 2 to be the focal point of the defense. But with Aiden Hutchinson there, these 3 at that D-line position are really going to be that young front that teams are going to look at. Now, yes, it might be a bit of a reach for Julian or Romeo to be on this list. If you're a Lions fan, drop in the comments who you would put, if you would change anything. And as always, any of you that are NFL fans, or if these are your favorite teams, drop in the comment what you would change for these offense, for the defense, for your team, or just for these teams in general if you're an NFL fan. But back to these 3, I think the youngness and the speed that these 3 have. Julian obviously has speed off the edge. We see what Aiden Hutchinson can do in college, so we'll see if that can transmit to the NFL and if he could bring that over. And Romeo obviously kind of getting up there as a veteran presence for the team. So obviously their defense is where I'm focused on. I think that these 3 young guys are going to be able to lead the defense, especially at that D-line position. And then we have one of the most underrated corners in the league, and that is Armani Okwara. Now, I really like this dude. I think he's a good corner, and he was overlooked last year. Now, when he was starting to get the interceptions over the years, people were hopping on the bandwagon, and all these fans were like, yeah, I've been following him. But I've been following him for 2 years now. Now, I first started watching him 2 years ago. Then I started playing with him in Madden, and that's when I really got a love for the player. And then watching him again last season, it really solidified what I thought of him, and then I did think that he was a good corner. So thinking he was good then last season, him solidifying my opinion, I do think he's underrated. Last year he kind of showed people what he is capable of, and I think this year with the new D-line, with the new offense, I think Okwara is going to be able to take another step forward, along with new safety Desean Elliott. Now, Desean Elliott, he's young. We can't forget about Jeff Okudah. I know he's been a little bit of a bust. That's why we kind of skim over him. But Jeff Okudah is still there. Kind of a make or break year for him. He's not going to get a big contract unless he shows the Lions something special. But back to what I was saying about Desean Elliott. New acquisition for the Detroit Lions coming over from Baltimore. He's young. And as I keep saying with the Detroit Lions, something you keep hearing me say is young. Now, Desean Elliott is still young. He's a good safety. And I think coming into Detroit, he's really going to be able to add kind of a veteran presence because the team is young. He's been in the league for a couple of years. So he's going to have to add that veteran presence for that defense. So as you can see, all four of these teams are different in their own ways. Green Bay has the veteran presence with their guys, but their offense is a bit new. Chicago is all new. They got to just put everything together and kind of find who they are and kind of find their significant thing that makes them them. Minnesota, they're more of the breakout guys. We've seen them before. They are the veteran team in this league who have been together for years. When you look at Cousins, Cook, and then Jefferson and Thielen, these are the four main guys on that offense. So Green Bay kind of new receivers trying to put it together. Chicago trying to find their identity. Minnesota has their core. And then Detroit is the young team. And that is going to be it for this video, which is offensive and defensive weapons, NFC North Edition. If you guys did enjoy this video, come back for my other videos. NFL News in 10 Minutes will be out tomorrow, which is Wednesday. The AFC North Edition will be out on Thursday. And then Friday will be another NFL News in 10 Minutes. And as always, if you did like this video, if you do enjoy my content, you do enjoy my videos, drop a like, and I will see you guys next time.